Clone Wars Season 7 is underway, and we just got Episode 2, A Distant Echo. And I'm excited to talk about that with you guys today. I am Cody Dastrup. This is Star Wars Doctrine. Thanks for checking us out. And you've stumbled across our show, Clone Wars and Chill. Basically, the show is all about talking about the Clone Wars, dissecting the episodes as they come out for Season 7. Just a good opportunity to really dive in a little deeper past the surface in some of these episodes. And they've been awesome so far. There's lots to talk about. And if you haven't seen my review and discussion on Episode 1 of The Bad Batch, you can check that out as well on the channel. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. It helps out a ton and would mean a lot. We're really excited kind of to get rolling with this. We have a lot going on the YouTube and on Instagram, Facebook, at Star Wars Doctrine. We do a lot on Twitch and streams as well, so there's just a lot of good fun to be had. So thanks for checking us out, and let's dive into Clone Wars Season 7, Episode 2. So this was one of my favorite episodes, actually probably in all of Clone Wars. And I know that's saying a lot, but it's true. It was actually... it took me by surprise how much I loved this episode. Season 7's off to a good start in my opinion. Episode 1 was fun, but it was just really kind of like a get back into the Clone Wars kind of feel. It wasn't as deep. It wasn't as, character driven. It was more just like some cool action sequences and a fun little reveal at the end about Echo maybe being alive, which definitely set up this episode really well. But this one just gave me everything I'm looking for. So if I was, to rate this one, this is like a 10 out of 10 in my book. I loved every minute of it. The only complaint I have is that maybe it was too short. Like all of these, right? This is 20 to 25 minutes is just not enough. But they do a really good job, Dave Filoni, with the time that he has. So the little nugget that I like to always start off with, that was at the beginning of the episode, a little quote. They always have one at the beginning of Clone Wars episodes. It says, "The search for truth begins with belief," which is essentially, fairly obviously talking about Rex and his belief that his friend is alive and willing to believe that and stick to that and do everything he can to find out if Echo really is alive or not. And obviously, he kind of has to spend time convincing Anakin and the Bad Batch and everyone else that he's not crazy, that there's a chance Echo really could be alive and that it's not just him being hopeful. And obviously that leads to him, finding out the truth. But as always, good inspirational quote from the Clone Wars. So just kind of to dive into the episode itself, obviously spoilers, guys, will be in this, but the episode starts off, and it kind of turns out that Rex has been helping Anakin with talking to Padme from his missions and kind of covering for him so that Obi-Wan doesn't find out, which was just an awesome sequence in general. The way that all went down, I thought that that was a fun little nugget to get to see. Now, one thing that's interesting is all of these the first 4 episodes, all the Bad Batch's arc, you can actually go on StarWars.com, I know I talked about this last week, is you can actually see the unfinished episodes. And this scene was not in that unfinished episode. They didn't have Anakin talking to Padme. And to me, that just shows that Dave Filoni really understood, like, hey, this is time to develop the characters, time to get closure as we're getting close to Order 66. One thing that they did replace, and I've seen a lot of people talking about it, is the Bad Batch originally in the concepts had a little thing hanging up of Senator Padme Amidala on their ship, and they were talking about how hot she is, and this is a hot senator, and Anakin was going to get kind of mad, and Rex was going to kind of show that he understood why. But I thought this was a way better way to do it. Like, maybe it still would have been cool to see, that they were talking about Padme, but I don't think it was really necessary. These guys are already kind of like your stereotypical, like, meatheads, right? Like, so it's just maybe not another thing to stereotype with them, but I thought that this was a way more effective and emotional way to do it, to have Padme giving Anakin some advice, and really just to have have some sort of, I don't know, just really gave like an insight into how close Rex and Anakin were. The fact that Rex pretty much knows about Anakin and Padme. There's no way he doesn't know what's going on. And to me, like, maybe he doesn't know they're married, but he knows they have some sort of relationship. And to me, that just humanizes the clones a little more, that he's willing to cover for Anakin. Like, these guys are brothers, and it just makes it that much more emotional knowing what's going to happen. But I just thought that was one of the coolest things. And of course, to find out that they have a secret knock when Obi-Wan comes. Rex literally has a secret knock just to tell Anakin Obi-Wan is coming, because right when he does it, Anakin's like, yep, that means Obi-Wan's here. And makes you wonder how many times the situations come up in the past, and really how many times Anakin's talked to Padme over the little holo. And anyways, the advice that Padme gives Anakin, though, is like, because Anakin's worried about Rex, he says he's leading with his personal feelings, which the first thing we all thought of was, Anakin, that's exactly what you do. And Padme makes Anakin aware of it, and it's not always a bad thing, but the Jedi teach that sometimes that's not the way you're supposed to lead, and not the way you're supposed to let your decisions be made, which obviously leads to his dark side downfall anyways. But Padme points out, Rex probably learned that from you. When you're making these decisions, Rex is right by you, and you guys have been best friends for how long? What you need to do is be beside him and help him and trust him when maybe others won't, and just be that friend that he needs. And that's just a beautiful thing. Like, Padme understands that these people are more than just clones, right? Like, they have feelings, they're humanized by this, and it's just an incredible thing. We're clones, sir, we're not meant to be disposable, or we're meant to be disposable, not to me, as that whole kind of phrase and art comes into my head. And it's just an awesome thing, especially because as fans, we really have grown to love these clones because of the Clone Wars. I always thought it was funny when I watched Revenge of the Sith, and in the opening scene, Anakin's worried about the clones, and Obi-Wan's like, they'll do their job, we got to do ours, because Anakin's like, I'm going to go back for them. And I was always like, that's so stupid. There's tons of clones. Like, why would you risk your life for a clone? We can just make more. These guys are not even like, they're just a disposable army. But Clone Wars TV show really shows that that's not the case at all. The Jedi didn't have that relationship with the clones. It wasn't like the droids where you're just like, we'll just make more. It was, these guys are real people with real feelings. And that's how it should be. And that's one of the cool things about it. And as the time goes on, the clones get more and more individualized. They start, having differences from each other that separates them from the others. It's just awesome. But carrying on, Anakin, has this little moment with Padme. I thought it's kind of interesting how Padme's holding her stomach, because we know that this is prior to Revenge of the Sith, prior to Padme telling Anakin she's pregnant. And it's like, dude, Anakin, look, she's grabbing her stomach. Like, are you dumb? Are you blind? She wants you to, she's either like hinting like, dude, I'm pregnant, or you're just blind, or I don't know what's going on. But I thought it was kind of weird and kind of bothered me, honestly, because I was like, that doesn't feel like it would flow. But maybe I'm just kind of writing it off as Padme didn't want to tell him yet because it wasn't the right time. She would rather him focus on staying alive in the mission, and wanted to tell him probably in person because it's such a big deal. But at the same time, she really wanted to tell him, so she wasn't hiding it. She wasn't not hinting about it. And putting her hand on her stomach was like a pretty big hint from everyone else to all of us who know she's pregnant. I don't know. Heck, maybe she doesn't know she's pregnant. Maybe her stomach's just hurting her and she hasn't found out yet. It's possible. But anyways, it was kind of an interesting little nugget to put in there. I'm not sure how I felt about that. So obviously it was a cool surprise to see that Rex knows about them. And the most interesting part was as Anakin walks away, pretending like, I was just fixing his helmet, and thinking he's all smart and outsmarted Obi-Wan. And as he walks away, Obi-Wan goes, I hope you at least told Padme I said hello. And Anakin just kind of turns like, oh, shoot, like they got me. And Rex sees it too, like you can see it on Rex's face. And it's just interesting because I've always had the theory that Obi-Wan really probably did know that something was going on between them. He's not stupid. I mean, in episode 2, Anakin straight up's like, you're pretty for a senator, and grown more beautiful. And it's just like, it's obvious, but maybe Obi-Wan just kind of was like, yeah, but Padme would never fall for Anakin's stupid, cheesy, I don't like sand flirting. But no, I think he did know, and I think he just didn't want to get Anakin in trouble, so he didn't ask the questions that he probably could have, which definitely makes me wonder / think about if Obi-Wan would have intervened or questioned Anakin about it more directly, if he could have helped Anakin's fall to the dark side, if he could have supported them and been there for them and been an advocate for them to the Jedi Council. It just makes you wonder, how things could have turned out differently. Or if Anakin would have even gone to Yoda. In fact, maybe I'll do a question about that on the Instagram. What if Anakin hadn't gone to Yoda about these dreams he was having? What if he went to Obi-Wan, someone who was closer to him and knew, hey, there's reasons that you have these feelings for Padme and we need to get you help? I don't know. Anyways, carrying on. So they head on over to Skako Minor, which is the planet that they know this echo transmission's coming from. And Anakin, Rex, Bad Batch, they're heading down there and they get attacked by these reptilian riding species. They're called the Polytech. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but they ride on these flying Kiradaks, and they get captured by them, and they don't resist too much. They just try to talk through it with them, and then we get one of the coolest scenes of Clone Wars in general, in my opinion. Something I just haven't seen in Star Wars I think is so cool. In Star Wars, it's like 90% of the time we just assume everyone can understand each other's language, and when it's not, they'll just have C-3PO or somebody there to translate for them. But Tech has these goggles, because he's of course techie, that literally translate this Polytech's language into Galactic Basic Arabic live on his in his eyes on his screen, and we get to see that. And I thought that was just one of the coolest things to put into Star Wars, and that made me like Tech even more, because I just thought that's something that Star Wars needs, is a little bit more talking about all the different languages and how people understand and get by. It's like in real life today we have Google Translate and things like that, so that was kind of almost like a version of that. But I thought that was really cool. So obviously they're able to form a little bit of an alliance with them, and they say, we don't want your war here. We're neutral, and we'll take you to where you want to go, but we're bailing after that. You're on your own, and then you need to just get off our planet, kind of thing. So, they drop him off. Rex and the Bad Batch kind of get in a tussling fight because, a lot of the Bad Batch thinks, hey, we're just falling into a trap. This probably isn't there's a good chance Echo's not even alive, and of course Rex is gonna fight him or defend his plan, his beliefs, and Anakin's able to kind of pull him aside and just say, hey, I care about you. Just so you know, you probably should prepare for the worst just in case, because Anakin's trying to be that voice of reason, which obviously is probably a weird role for Anakin to play, but anyways, then we get the war and the action when they break into this base here, which is in the Polytech city. Yeah, so on Skako Minor, I believe it's the city of Purkoll. Yeah, Purkoll. And that's like a separatist base almost. Like the separatists control this city or this area. And they're able to break into it. And they have some trouble finding Echo's signal, but they're able to relocate it. And they enter the tower. And Anakin's like, yo, we need to be stealthy. But of course, Wrecker's like, no, I'm just going to kill everybody, which is really cool. Wrecker's kind of become an interesting member of the Bad Batch to me, because he's kind of becoming the comedic relief. Wow, I can't talk. And I don't know how I feel about that, but he's like really this definition of like your meathead, because he's supposed to be super strong, but also really dumb, and he just screams really loud and is like, oh yeah, I'm killing droids. I just got excited, and heck yeah. And it's just like, it's gotten to the point where it's kind of cringy to me. I know some people probably enjoy it, and it's definitely, there's still kids who are watching the show. It's a kids-aimed show, and that's how it started and has been. But it's just so kind of dumb to me, kind of Jar Jar-ish, right? But I mean, I can handle it. It's definitely not too over the top. He did have a funny line where he talks about not being scared of heights, but when he's high up, he has a problem with gravity, which is kind of funny. But anyways, after a couple of weird lines from him. They fight their way through the battle droids, which are, by the way, kind of a weird-looking battle droid that I don't know that I'm necessarily familiar with. It might even be from the Clone Wars in the past I didn't realize, but first thing I thought of was like, those are weird-looking droids. Anakin gets to pull out his lightsaber, do some fun stuff. Crosshair saves his life at one point. It's just all sorts of fun. And I really liked the fighting sequences here, but I also liked how this episode gave us a little bit more insight on some character depth. And one of the most interesting things, too, was Wat Tambor being on the screen, and Admiral Trench talks to him and kind of warned him that they're coming. But Wat Tambor kind of talks about how, they wouldn't dare attack here because, as far as they know, we're a neutral system, which is like getting into the politics of it. Publicly, his planet is not, his clan, I should say, is not aligned with the Separatists or neutral, and so you can't attack a neutral system. But he's secretly, that's just a front because he's obviously aligned with Dooku and the Separatists. So, Admiral Trench is like, yeah, these guys are different. They don't really care about the rules. And it's just kind of funny to me because it's like, that's totally Anakin and the Bad Batch, which kind of makes sense. Anakin plus the Bad Batch, that could really, make for some bad decisions and rule breaking. But they totally don't care that, up front they're supposed to be a neutral system. They're like, we're attacking, we're getting our friend. And obviously Admiral Trench is aware of, how they operate. But Wat Tambor tells Rex, like, your friend's dead, so don't try it, and Rex doesn't believe him. So they enter this kind of scary, techie looking room where they have Echo up in like it's almost like a carbonite kind of freeze. It's not a carbonite freeze, but something in there's keeping him alive, and he's got all these tubes and stuff coming out of the brain. They're able to get him out, and you do find out Echo is alive, and when they kind of get him shaken back to realization, he thinks he's still at the Citadel where he almost died, and Rex is kind of just comforting him, like, we're bringing you home now, we got you. And you can see that Rex is concerned with everything that Echo's gone through in the past little while. It's just, probably breaks his heart, probably makes him feel guilty that he didn't find him sooner. One thing I thought was interesting too that I haven't seen a ton of people talking about is Rex totally had like bionic legs and maybe I think a bionic arm as well. Looked like Darth Maul from the waist down, like cybernetic legs, and it's probably because in the Citadel, obviously, some explosions and everything, and they probably had to do that to keep him alive. But it'll be interesting going forward to see a clone that also might be half like cyborg, kind of like Maul was, and I'm excited to see Echo in that form. But I was surprised by that, and I guess that's kind of where the episode leaves us off. And going forward, it's probably going to be a lot of PTSD and learning about where Rex has been, what he's gone through. Also, probably him dealing with trying to come to terms with the fact that like he is alive and he's not, so much time has passed. He didn't seem to really be aware of the time and stuff. So it'll be interesting. It was a really good episode, like I said, in my opinion. It gave a lot of emotion. Talk about some of the highlights and things that I found. My absolute favorite part still was the whole scene of like Padme and Anakin talking and hiding that from Obi-Wan. But I think that one of the funniest things too is kind of a background thing was Wrecker when they're on the ship is literally just like lifting weights, but it's a gonk droid. He just picked up a gonk droid while he's also eating it's like a chicken leg or turkey leg or probably some Star Wars animal or something leg while he's just like doing curls with this gonk droid. And I thought that was hilarious. And I don't know if you guys caught that as well, but that was literally like, I had to rewind it. It was like, did I just see that? It was hilarious. So, I guess although Wrecker hasn't been my favorite, he definitely brings some good stuff. The translation goggles, like I talked about, one of the coolest things in Star Wars. And I think that going forward, I hope they use them more. I guess they're still on this planet, so maybe they'll talk to these guys again and arrange some way to maybe get off the planet. I know that in the, spoiler for next, kind of, I want to say that in the sketches of the reel of the next episode that they might even have time, or like have a time where they ride those reptile things too. Could be 100% wrong. I'm not sure I'm remembering that correct. But anyways, I'm excited to see where that goes, and to see kind of, we're halfway through the Bad Batch's arc now, and to kind of see where it's going to end. Obviously, they've been very helpful in getting done with what needed to be done, but it's also going to be interesting to see too, like these guys don't pop up in the movies, so I wonder if they're going to explain why, or where they're going to go after their arc's kind of done, or if they're going to pop up after their arc at all in the rest of the, because they're only 4 episodes, they're only supposed to really be the Bad Batch's arc. But I'm glad that they're able to take the Bad Batch arc, but also really bring it into the light of the actual story, and keep developing characters, and not just feel like it's totally separate from the wars and what's going on. It's a good way to bring Echo back. I'm excited to see what they do with that going forward. I just want to thank you guys for listening. If you have any comments, you can drop them in the comments section. Also, Instagram and Facebook, we're very active, so you can always talk to me, and I'd be happy to discuss all things Star Wars with you guys. If you haven't subscribed and liked this video, please do so. And as always, may the Force be with you.